5 days, nothing but sardines. It sounds extreme, maybe even a little absurd. But what if that's exactly the point? Most people are eating all day, every day, and still feel tired, inflamed, and foggy. They're not undernourished, they're misfueled. And if that sounds familiar, what you're about to hear might change how you think about food entirely, because by day 5 of this, people aren't looking for an exit. They're asking why they ever ate any other way. There's one specific thing that happens around day 4 that almost nobody talks about. We'll get there. Let's start with the obvious question. Why sardines? Not salmon, not chicken, not a protein shake. Sardines! A single can costs less than $2. Inside, you've got around 23 grams of complete protein, roughly 900 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, plus calcium, selenium, phosphorus, B12 at nearly 350% of your daily value, and something called taurine. That last one matters more than most people realize. We'll come back to it. The average person in the U.S. consumes about 100 milligrams of EPA and DHA per day. On this protocol, 3 cans daily, you're taking in around 2,700 milligrams. That's not a supplement dose. That's a therapeutic dose. And the difference between those two things is not subtle. A clinical trial out of Barcelona found that adding just 2 cans of sardines per week cut diabetic risk from 37% down to 8% in the study group. The lead researcher called it a major scientific discovery. 2 cans per week. We're talking about 3 cans per day. So what actually happens inside your body when you do this? Day 1 is mostly logistics. 0 carbohydrates, 0 sugar. Your body starts burning through its stored glycogen. That's sugar stored in your liver, and within the first 24 hours, it's largely gone. A lot of water is attached to that glycogen, so you'll lose water weight fast. That's why electrolytes matter here. Potassium, magnesium, sodium. Don't skip them. What you won't feel on day 1 is weak. That's the key difference between this and a water fast. You're giving your body high-quality protein and a dense stack of micronutrients. For most people, they actually feel more stable than usual, not less. Day 2 is where it gets a little harder for some people, but probably not in the way you'd expect. You won't feel starving. Your body has started tapping into fat stores, so it has fuel. What you might feel is something closer to boredom or restlessness around food. A craving not for calories, but for variety. Something crunchy, something spicy, something that isn't a sardine. That's dopamine hunger. It's real, but it passes. And it's worth understanding, because that specific type of craving is responsible for a huge amount of overeating that has nothing to do with actual hunger. Meanwhile, something else is happening. Those omega-3 fatty acids contain compounds called resolvins, which may help actively reduce inflammation in the body. At low supplemental doses, the effect is modest. At 2,700 milligrams per day, many people report a noticeable shift, joints feeling looser, sleep improving, a general sense of less internal noise. By the end of day 2, inflammation is starting to back off. Day 3. This is where most people say something changes in their head. Ketones are now fully online. Your brain has switched its primary fuel source from glucose to these fat-derived compounds, and for many people, the subjective experience is significant. Clearer thinking, sharper focus, less mental static. If you've been living with low-grade brain fog for so long it started to feel normal, day 3 is often when you realize it wasn't. There's also a thyroid angle here that doesn't get enough attention. Selenium is critical for converting the thyroid hormone T4 into its active form T3. Over 3 days, you're consuming nearly 300% of your daily selenium value per day. Many people notice they feel warmer, more metabolically alive. That's not a coincidence. And then there's brown fat. High-dose omega-3 fatty acids appear to stimulate brown adipose tissue, fat that's dense in mitochondria and burns energy as heat rather than storing it. For someone with a sluggish metabolism, this is meaningful. A slow metabolism is often an efficient one. It conserves fuel. Brown fat activation does the opposite. It wastes energy, which sounds inefficient. But if weight loss is the goal, that inefficiency is exactly what you want. By day 3, appetite is largely gone, not suppressed through willpower, actually gone. Ketones reduce ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger, and when your body is burning its own fat around the clock, the biological drive to eat decreases substantially. You stop thinking about food the way you normally do. Day 4. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning. On day 4, the changes stop being something you feel and start being something you see. You look in the mirror and something is different. Omega-3 fatty acids integrate into the membranes of your cells, including skin cells, and after 4 days at therapeutic doses, that shows up visibly. A healthier color, less puffiness. People report looking noticeably younger, not in a dramatic way, but in the way you look when you've actually been sleeping and your inflammation is down. And the joints. By day 4, people who've had chronic stiffness, the kind they'd stopped noticing because it was just always there, find it's gone. That's not placebo. That's what happens when you actually run inflammation into the ground instead of just managing it at the edges. Now let's talk about taurine. It's in sardines in meaningful amounts, and it does something specific. It increases GABA activity in the brain. GABA is your primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, the chemical that puts the brakes on the nervous system. More GABA means less anxiety, better stress tolerance, and significantly better sleep, not just falling asleep faster, staying asleep. Many people report that the 3 a.m. cortisol spike, that sudden wake-up for no reason, disappears completely by day 4. Your gut is also doing something different by now. Giving your microbiome a break from constant feeding may encourage greater microbial diversity. The gut and brain are in constant communication, and as gut inflammation drops, many people notice mood improvements that feel almost out of nowhere. Not euphoria, just stability, a kind of baseline calm that's been absent for a long time. And here's something worth noting: you're consuming 69 grams of protein per day on this protocol. That's why, unlike extended water fasting, you're not losing muscle, you're losing fat, actual adipose tissue, the thing you actually want to lose. Day 5. For most people, this is when the protocol shifts from something they're enduring to something they don't want to stop. The compounded effects are all present at once. Weight is down, face looks better, joints are mobile, sleep is deep, brain is clear. Hunger is basically non-existent. And there's something harder to measure but impossible to miss, a feeling of being in control, not through restriction or deprivation, but because the biological noise that usually drives food decisions has been turned down, and you can hear yourself think again. Over 5 days, you've taken in roughly 5,000% of your B12 requirement, and around 13,000 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. Your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, one of the most significant markers of systemic inflammation, has shifted in a way that would take months to achieve through normal eating. The one practical note: come off this gradually. Start reintroducing foods slowly. Your digestive system has been running lean, and flooding it with complex meals on day 6 is unnecessary and likely uncomfortable. Add simple whole foods first and give your gut a day or 2 to catch up. One thing that may help through the process: make sure you're covering electrolytes every day, and consider a B-complex supplement, particularly B1, which the body can only store for about 4 days. If there's any existing deficiency, a 5-day protocol will surface it. So here's what I want to ask you: what's your relationship with hunger right now? Do you eat because your body needs fuel, or because something else is driving it? Stress, habit, boredom? Because if you've been curious about whether you're actually in control of your eating, or whether your eating is in control of you, 5 days of sardines might give you a clearer answer than years of willpower-based dieting ever did. Next video, we're going to look at what happens to your body in the 30 days after a reset like this, and why so many people find their baseline permanently shifts, not just while they're restricting. If this channel is giving you a different way of thinking about how food actually works in the body, the subscription button is there for a reason. We don't cover trends. We cover mechanisms. Everything here is based on available research and real-world experience. It's not a substitute for working with a doctor, especially if you have an existing health condition. But it is information worth having.